website at allamericangold.com.
What's up, guys? Good morning. So great to be with you. Guys, it's always great to be with you. My name is Bucky Dillon. I am the host of the Bucky Dillon Morning Show every weekday from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. right here on 1360 KHNC. The Bucky Dillon Show is a Liberty Revolt Media production. Liberty Revolt Media is my humble little media company. I'm constantly putting out content. Now, you may be wondering, if I do 5 a.m. to 7 a.m., how come I'm starting this live stream at 6? Because typically I only live stream the second hour. Why would I do that? Well, because I'm more awake by the second hour. So we're going to have a little conversation about this April 6th election. And I'm learning most of this as you go. You would think someone as politically active as myself would be paying a lot more, would have voted by now in my local election. You would be wrong, because I am so busy. Guys, I'm just now even looking through my ballot. I'm going to get to it, okay? I'm going to vote. Yikes. But we're doing some investigation together into the things on the ballot and our city council and mayoral representatives that we're going to be voting for in this April 6th Fort Collins election, municipal election here. So I'm going to just real quick read you guys the article from the Coloradoan saying, get to know the candidates and the issues. So let's do that. Fort Collins has a robust city election coming up April 6th. 14 candidates are running for 5 city council seats. And there are 2 ballot issues of high community interest: what to do with former Hughes Stadium land and whether to ban plastic bags at grocery stores. Plus, there are even a few charter amendments. The Coloradoan created a space to help serve as a guide to the candidates and the issues on this April 6th, 2021 Fort Collins municipal election. Who's running for city council? All voters can cast ballot for mayor in the pool of 3 candidates, and 4 city council district seats will be decided only by those who live in the district. Below, you can learn about the candidates and what they stand for, starting with a broad look at each race. Now, I did look into a handful of the candidates' written responses to the Coloradoans' 20-question questionnaire, which I think the key takeaways is, what are you going to do? What is your policy going to be in regards to COVID, and what is your policy going to be in regards to housing? What is your policy going to be in regards to oil and gas in Fort Collins? So that kind of sums it up. I had heard that Molly was supposed to be the most conservative, well, maybe not the most conservative, but she was one of the 2 conservative candidates for Fort Collins mayor, and that Jerry had some troubling situations going on in his election. But then you have Jenny, I guess, is the progressive candidate for city council, or excuse me, from the mayoral seat. I don't think that's what we need right now. Although, yeah, I mean, here's the thing: I was a lifelong Democrat, and I was a Bernie Sanders progressive, and even I think that the left is going way too far on some of these things, especially here in Colorado, when like half the state is, conservative, libertarian, unaffiliated, right? More than half. I think just in Fort Collins's 3rd district, 44% of the people are unaffiliated. I think on a broader level, I think statewide, 36% of the state is unaffiliated. Yet it feels as though only Boulder, Denver, Fort Collins, Colorado Springs have a voice in Colorado government. Kind of unfortunate, and I think a lot of their good intentions are undermined by a lack of perspective. That's just my opinion, but I was reading Molly's answers to the Coloradoans 20-piece questionnaire, and so much of that questionnaire felt to me as though it was just political jargon. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, they would ask a question, what do you think we should do about the health crisis posed by COVID-19? Right? A direct answer that people want to know is, I mean, here's what people really want to know about COVID. Is it safe to go out and do stuff? Answer, basically yes, right? Political answer, basically no. Can we stop wearing masks? Answer, yeah, they haven't had any real correlation between COVID cases going up or down and the masking. So it's I mean, most of these masks aren't even effective. In fact, like the cloth balaclavas you see all the time, I heard they actually make it worse because all of the gunk you're trying to expel and all that moisture gets caught up in the fabric and just sits there and festers. And every time you breathe out or you're speaking, it's like aerosolizing it, and it apparently that makes it you're even more likely. There's a negative impact of spreading or contracting COVID with the cloth balaclavas. And then there's the N95 mask. They say it's like 95% effective, but that just makes distance more effective because 5% viral contact. That's
Sam
gonna get you
Shook,
sick.
Navy Vet and Medicare Specialist. I just want to thank the KHNC listeners for their support and trust in me as their Medicare specialist. If you are currently on Plan F, we are in a window of opportunity that can save you a lot of money towards your monthly premium. Please contact me at 970-413-4939. If you are getting into Medicare soon or are already enrolled and have questions, please call me at 970-413-4939. Again, thanks, KHNC listeners.
Triangle Cross Ranch, a Christian-based family ranch community, has the availability for more ranchers to join the family. We accept adults over 18 years old with cognitive disabilities. If you have a friend or loved one who wants more independence in a Christian ranch home, contact Triangle Cross Ranch at 970-454-2219 or 36049 County Road 51, P.O. Box 727, Gailton, Colorado 80622.
If you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animated contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsel nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains be set lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were ever our countrymen. Samuel Adams.
By now, you know how good CBD can be for you. But here's some things CBD can't help you with. Those annoying calls about your car's warranty expiring, gay frogs, or racist cows, climate coaches, or that undying devotion to Alex Jones. This has been a friendly reminder from your friends at 1360 KHNC, the roar of the Rockies.
Okay, so I was just looking at it. I live in District 2, Fort Collins, and I'm looking at my ballot here. I don't even have a box for District 2 City Council. I guess maybe there's only one person running. Maybe it's a done deal. Maybe it's not up for election. So it looks like I only need to worry about voting on mayor of Fort Collins, and I'm genuinely torn. So hey guys, if you're in the comment section of the live stream, whether the Facebook or the YouTube live stream, and you want to hop in the conversation and give me your opinion, I sure would appreciate it. Who are you voting for Fort Collins mayor? Let me know. If you're just hanging out in the live stream and you're not in Fort Collins, well, thanks for just hanging out. You can bring up anything. I'll ask me anything. I'll answer it. The call-in number 970-587-5171. If you would like to join me live on the air, let's have a conversation. I'm here because I freaking love you guys. All right. So Fort Collins City Council election, who and what to expect on the April 6th, 2021 ballot. Editors note this information in this story is only as current as February 19th. Well, we'll go through it all together. Mayoral candidates. The mayor is elected citywide for a 2-year term. Mayor Wade Troxel is term limited this year after 6 years as mayor and 8 years representing District 4 on the council. 3 people have announced their candidacy for mayor so far. Jenny Arndt, sorry if I mispronounced the name here. Arndt is a Democrat and represented Fort Collins in the Colorado Legislature's House of Representatives since 2015. Her legislation has primarily focused on water, agriculture, small business, and public education, and she co-sponsored the 2019 law that abolished the death penalty in Colorado. Before serving in the legislature, she was a special education teacher, university faculty member, and middle school principal, among other things. From what I've heard about her, I don't like her. I ain't going to vote for her. I'm going to support anyone but her, which brings me down to the tough position of, do I vote for Molly or Jerry? Well, we'll see. From Jenny's website, quote, representing Fort Collins at the Capitol has been a privilege. Now it's time to bring that experience home to serve our city locally. My vision for Fort Collins is to foster a city government that is inclusive, listens, and is responsive, and is collaborative, smart, nimble, resilient, connected, inquisitive, innovative, and family-friendly, just like the people who live here. Great cities are made up of great people coming together to govern themselves. Well, I don't really see how you could run as a progressive Democrat and then also believe in people governing themselves, because the whole agenda of those people is to micromanage your life. But that's what our website says. Sounds like political jargon to me. Jerry Horak, founding steering committee member of the Water Now Alliance, steering committee member for NOCO Housing, president of Box Elder Basin Region Stormwater Authority. His website is jerryhorakformayor.com. About Horak has collectively served about 20 years on Fort Collins City Council from 1981 to 1984, and again from 2011 to 2019. He was mayor pro tem for much of that tenure, and also served as mayor in 1984 through 85. Horak's website lists many of his council accomplishments, including advocacy for changing the city's position from opposition to support of the wild and scenic designation of the Poudre River, helping establish the city's natural areas program, and representing Fort Collins on the Platte River Power Authority Board, the North Front Range Transportation and Air Quality Planning Organization, and the I-25 Coalition. A quote from his website: Jerry is the guy who gets stuff done. Now, no matter how small or large the task, his proven track record of public service shows that he will be a mayor for all of the people of Fort Collins. Mary Scold, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Mutual of Omaha's real estate arm, Midtown Crossing. Her website, Molly, number 4, mayor.com. Molly4mayor.com. That's the number 4. While Scold works for an Omaha-based company, she lives in Fort Collins and serves on the boards for Visit Fort Collins Museum of Discovery, and Elevations Credit Union. She's a strong advocate for public-private partnerships and has also been involved in a range of community improvement projects in Omaha. From what I've heard about Molly, she is a little bit more conservative, but I didn't really like her answers to the Coloradoans 20 question little questionnaire. So I really wasn't impressed with her questions. It seemed like almost every question had the same answer. Well, I think we need to have more conversation about it. And I would be open to more conversation and more partnership. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I don't really like when politicians refer to, I think we should have more conversation about it. I think by the time you are this close to being elected, you should have some answers about your political stance, right? From her website, born and raised in Fort Collins, Molly has proven herself a strong and versatile leader, a strategic thinker whose work elevates communities and organizations. She supports disciplined growth and has a proven track record of igniting energy and collaboration on projects, programs, and events that create excitement across the community, business sector, and city government. Okay, well, I'm going to jump into some of the 20 questions here, and I want to learn more about Jerry. So let's see if I can find that one. Yes. All right. Jerry, he basically, when asked about how we should address social and public health impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, he essentially said he wants to reach people and try to encourage people to get vaccinated. When asked about what should the city do to address the economic impacts of COVID-19, he basically made the case that people should get back to work, and we should trust the people to figure out how to navigate that in a responsible and appropriate way. Question number 3, the Homeward 2020 initiative recently wrapped up with organizers recommending that Fort Collins or Larimer County create a dedicated revenue stream to address homelessness. On a related note, a recent city effort to explore a centralized campus for a homeless shelter and services resulted in no concrete action. What do you think of these two approaches, and do you have any other specific suggestions for addressing homelessness in Fort Collins? According to Jerry, his written response, I will encourage Larimer County to be the lead government entity to provide services to the homeless. The county is the government unit that the state directs to provide social services. I believe the county is well suited to develop a consistent county service level for the homeless. Cities and towns would collaborate with the county and provide financial support. He says, I support collaboration with nonprofits, businesses, foundations, governments, and individuals to provide a day and night 24/7 homeless inclusive shelter. As a community, we need to join together and do the right thing for the homeless. The community accomplished a similar collaboration when funds were raised and United Way when funds were raised and the United Way building was constructed to meet a community need for social nonprofits agency and sliding scale daily care. Interestingly, the building with the city cooperation is now totally occupied by an expanding teaching tree and successor of the original United Day Care. I haven't gotten a very clear response there, in my opinion. How should the city respond to recent and projected population growth? Before I read you Jerry's answer, let me tell you my answer. Build more housing. Housing is totally out of control expensive. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I started doing the math the other day. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I pay about $1,700. Now, I did the math because I took my rugs outside and I used some 5-gallon buckets full of hot water and detergent to soak them and then scrub them to try to clean my rugs. And then I hung them out over my balcony and the neighbor, not my neighbor's balcony, but going up the stairs, we have this little section of roof, and I kind of just hung my rug over it so that the water could all drip out. And I left it there overnight and the next morning to dry out. The maintenance guy rolled up my rugs, put them on top of his cart, and was going to throw them in the dumpster. And the other maintenance guy who lives across from me and is my friend was like, "Don't do that." And took my rugs and tossed them on my porch. I really appreciate that. But I was slightly offended. Why? Well, because $1,700 a month for 2-year lease, I have given these people, and will by the end of my lease have given these people, something like $40,000. And they're going to throw away my rugs? Come on, man. That's malarkey, right? And I did the math. There's about 150 apartment units in this complex, and they're paying a minimum of $1,700, which means that every month this apartment complex is bringing in $255,000, and they're going to throw away my rug? Come on. Y'all should treat me better than that. I spend 80% of my life more working so that I can give those people probably 3/4 of my money. And they're going to throw away my rug because I left it out to dry in the sun? Ridiculous. Anyways, that's a personal story. How should the city respond to recent and projected population growth? My opinion, build more housing. Build it fast. Build it now. But Jerry says, I support continuing planning for the development of the urban growth area. We have cooperatively worked with the county for 40 years through an intergovernmental agreement to ensure developments are built to city standards and that properties are annexed to the city when they are contiguous. Gosh, excuse me, folks. I support following city plan and updating our codes to facilitate developments according to the plan. The agreement only addresses lands inside the UGA, that is, the urban growth area. Communities around Fort Collins are growing too. Those communities' growth rates are higher than ours with no end in sight. A tenet of city plan is citywide transit. I led the effort for transit to operate 365 days a year. Transit is a basic service the city can provide. It provides people, especially low-income folks, a mode to live their lives, work, shop, attend religious services, and recreate. I support incentives to riders and employers to increase transit ridership. All right. Guys, you're listening to The Bucky Dillon Show. I feel good. Do you feel good? Let me know. The call-in number, 970-587-5171. How are you voting in this Fort Collins municipal election? Chinese state-run media are celebrating the apparent success of Joe Biden and the mainstream news outlets, which act as nothing more than the communications branch of the Democrat Party. Among the many things we are doing to become more engaged in the culture, 1360khnc.com now has a blog page for the sharing of hard-hitting conservative content. Help us break the left's domination of media by becoming a content contributor. Reach out to contact at 1360khnc.com to learn more.
I wish a buck was still silver.
Brian again with Turf Tamers Landscaping. What a great season we've had so far. We've installed flower beds, paver and flagstone patios. We've planted hundreds of trees, shrubs, and flowers and generally beautified many homes and commercial properties. Thank you to all the KHNC listeners who gave us a call and consideration. If you are in Fort Collins, Loveland, Timnath, Wellington, or LaPorte, please call us at 970-460-8873 or visit us at turftamerslandscaping.com.
Hey, KHNC listeners, Bucky Dillon here. By the way, I just want to let you know, if you're interested in buying or selling real estate, I highly recommend you contact my friend Jerry at SearsRealEstate.com. He's been doing real estate here since like 2005. And you don't just get him, you get the entire Sears Real Estate team, one of the best in the business, looking out for you on one of the most crucial purchases of your life. Don't mess it up. Contact my friend Jerry at SearsRealEstate.com.
My name is Dwayne Brothwell. Listen to my show, Mystery Babylon, every Sunday, 11 a.m. I will show you how the birth certificate image of the beast binds you to Babylon the bank for the debt money we use to buy and sell with. That's every Sunday, 11 a.m.
What's up, KHNC Patriots? Bucky Dillon here. If you're looking for a simple and free way to support the station, check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/1360KHNC. It really does help us reach a broader and a younger audience, help us take our country back. Give it a like, give it a follow, give it a share, invite your friends. You can watch the live streams, you can read the blog, you can share the memes, and you can join the conversation. You can join the fight, facebook.com/1360KHNC.
Hi, folks. This is Terry V. Tune in every Saturday at 2 p.m. to my new show, Terry's Views of the News. The show is about current politics. It's a hard-hitting, truth-seeking, conservative view show. So tune in on Saturday at 2 p.m. You'll be glad you did.
And I really think the number one issue on our Fort Collins ballot in regards to who we want to elect into the governing bodies of our city should be the cost of housing above anything else. I don't care about their views on almost anything else. Who is going to reduce the barriers to entry for developers to build more housing? And who's going to commit to incentivizing the building of more housing? And same thing goes for the cost of childcare. Those are the two things I think are most important. The COVID stuff, yeah, it's important, but I think we're on the tail end of it. Hopefully people are going to push back on politicians who want to keep this going longer. I understand some people are vulnerable. Yes. We also can't, the cure can't be worse than the disease, and people's lives are being crushed by the economic, they call it the economic impacts of COVID. COVID's a virus. There's not economic impacts, right? The economic impacts have been how our governments have responded to it. But that's just my opinion. I'd say it's a pretty sturdy opinion, but it's just mine. Yeah, housing and affordable childcare, those are the two issues that I am most concerned about. So question number 5 on the Coloradoans 20-question questionnaire. I'm reading the written responses by mayoral candidate Jerry Horak. Question number 5, the city's housing strategic plan lays out a vision for strategies to increase the volume of affordable and attainable housing in Fort Collins. Which of these strategies are most appealing to you, and how would you work to make housing costs more affordable in Fort Collins? Here's an idea. Build more houses. Build them now. He says, Jerry, quote, I support building community to I support building community to make living and housing more affordable. Working families are hurting and under pressure. They cannot afford to live in Fort Collins. I will work to make affordable housing more available and the cost of living more reasonable for vulnerable communities. Action items. He lists them. Develop an affordable housing action plan to specify how yearly goals will be met with specific implementation steps. 2, facilitate affordable housing projects through the development review process. 3, provide affordable and reliable utilities. Doesn't say how. 5, provide low-cost internet to struggling families. Doesn't say how. 6, ensure that residential metro districts provide affordable housing units. 7, expand affordable childcare. How? 8, build partnerships with diverse populations to provide opportunities. 9, provide 365-day transit and transportation system. 10, work with nonprofits, businesses, foundations, governments, and individuals to provide day and night 24/7 homeless shelter that is inclusive. 11, connect low-income individuals and families with a city rebate, reduced utility rates, utility bill assistance, energy and water efficiency, and reduced rate recreational programs. And finally, increase funding for nonprofits that provide gap funding to those who are struggling. It's an interesting response. Okay. Question number 6. Council recently directed staff to draft regulations on oil and gas activity that would serve as a de facto ban on oil and gas activity within Fort Collins city limits. Do you support this approach? Why or why not? Jerry's answer. The Colorado Oil and Gas Commission recently adopted regulations that likely prevent oil and gas development in at least 95% of the city, if not 99%. The state regulations are in effect a de facto ban. Since the city's draft regulations have not been published, it is speculative to comment on them. Fort Collins currently has one producer for oil. That's it, one. They have been operating since the 1920s in North Fort Collins and produce water and oil with minimal gas. I believe in recent years, no oil and gas development applications for permits inside the city limits have even been submitted. Larimer County is also developing oil and gas regulations. I support the city working with the county to develop regulations that protect people's health, safety, and the environment, especially in the urban growth area. And in my personal opinion, that is so low on the totem pole of priorities for Colorado more broadly and Fort Collins. I mean, I know that we seem to be pushing this narrative in our culture that fossil fuels bad, therefore ban them. But here's the thing. We are not prepared to use any of the alternatives, right? Wind energy. I'm not saying that we shouldn't invest in green technologies. I agree when Elizabeth Warren says stuff like we should lead the world in the investment in and the production of green energy technologies. But just like the first car wasn't very efficient, just like the first light bulb wasn't very efficient, these technologies are not very efficient. And they're certainly not green. Wind turbines. Let me tell you guys about wind turbines. They require 150 to 900 tons of steel. How do you get steel? You mine it out of the ground with giant fossil fuel dependent machinery, right? Once you mine it out of the ground, it doesn't come in perfect wind turbine shape. So you have to shape steel. How do you shape steel? You burn coal. You burn a lot of coal. You burn it hot. And then you shape the steel again with massive fossil fuel dependent machinery. And then you have to transport them and assemble them, right? Again, dependent on fossil fuel dependent heavy machinery, right? Not only that, you have to anchor them in the ground because wind turbines can't just balance their willy-nilly. They are designed to catch the wind. That's like their whole point, right? They're designed to catch wind. So you have to anchor them in the ground. How do we anchor them in the ground? Well, first, we have to totally clear the land of trees, rocks, all kinds of things, heavy machinery, right? Then we have to dig into the ground so that we can anchor wind turbines in the ground with 23 600,000 tons of concrete, which guess how we make concrete? It requires oil. Yeah. So, you know all the asphalt, all the concrete, yeah, that requires oil. You know all the plastic? Yeah, that requires oil. You know how we shape glass? Yeah, that requires fossil fuels too. Literally, if you look around you, fossil fuels went into the production of literally almost everything around you. If it's rubber, if it's plastic, if it's glass, if it's concrete, if it's steel, right? Even our phones, even the batteries in our phones, the batteries that they use to store the energy that they collect with these so-called green technologies have to be mined out of the ground with fossil fuel dependent heavy machinery, right? It's just, yes, I believe in investing in green technologies, but we have a long way to go before they are efficient and green. We should continue investing them, but we shouldn't destroy our economy so that we can virtue signal, especially when the runners up to global dominance.
This is Sam Shook, Navy Vet and Medicare Specialist. I just want to thank the KHNC listeners for their support and trust in me as their Medicare specialist. If you are currently on Plan F, we are in a window of opportunity that can save you a lot of money towards your monthly premium. Please contact me at 970-413-4939. If you are getting into Medicare soon or are already enrolled and have questions, please call me at 970-413-4939. Again, thanks, KHNC listeners.
What's up, guys? Come hang out with us again this Friday night. We're having one of those little freedom get-togethers, right? You know the kind where you get to know the faces on the other side of the radio broadcast. Myself, Bucky Dillon, Jason, co-host Brian, and the whole KHNC crew hanging out with y'all because we love y'all and we just want to get together and let you guys get to know us and watch a movie together. We're watching Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Jason contends that the storyline is a great visual representation of what we're dealing with in our society. I can't say, you got to come check it out with us. There's also going to be free food provided by Cafe Athens. So make sure you grab a bite to eat and make sure that this week you stop by Cafe Athens in Centerra and show them how much you appreciate them supporting us and supporting the freedom movement. Guys, we look forward to it this Friday night from 5 to 7. Don't show up early. The doors will be locked, but we really want to see you. Have a great day.
One of the most important things for veterans is to be heard, and VA is listening. Appeals modernization is changing the way VA decision disagreements are processed, for the better.
Veterans, if you disagree with an initial VA claim decision received after February 2019, you have a choice of 3 review lanes. Contact an accredited representative to help you decide which choice is right for you. For more information, visit va.gov/decision-reviews.
I can take control with VA's new, faster review process.
All right, Robert, I'm so sorry to put you to sleep with my bump music. I know you think it's quite a downer at the end of your work schedule. You'll have to tune in on one of the earlier mornings one of these days and hear I play legit metal on my first hour. Anyways, so just to sum up my point, there's literally one oil drill within city limits of Fort Collins. There's literally one oil drill within Fort Collins city limits, and as we continue to grow, our state actually needs energy desperately. If we really cared about reducing global carbon emissions, we would organize with other countries to be tough on China, and we would export natural gas to countries that are relying heavily on coal. Green energy is really only a luxury of the wealthiest countries in the world. So crippling our economy, that's not going to make us greener, right? It's just going to empower countries like China, Saudi Arabia, Russia, Iran. And if you think handing the torch of global dominance over to countries like China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Iran is going to be good for any of our so-called progressive values, but you would be wrong. You would be misinformed about that. Question number 6 on the Coloradoans questionnaire. City Council recently directed staff to draft regulations. Oh, I already read that. Okay. It should be very low on our priority list. I don't even care. Okay. Number 7. Many residents in the community struggle to afford the rising costs of childcare. How should the city address childcare affordability? I can attest to this. Not only do I pay $1,700 a month in rent for a tiny little pathetic apartment, but I pay something like $1,000 a month for childcare. All right. Jerry's answer to what the city should do about affordable childcare. The city has been supportive of childcare affordability, and I support a greater effort. Using federal community development block grant programs, the city has provided grants to sliding scale daycare centers. In the 1980s, community collaboration funds were raised to construct the United Way building to meet the need for nonprofit social service agencies by sliding scale daycare. The building, with the city cooperation, is now totally occupied by an expanded sliding scale daycare, Teaching Tree, a successor of the original United Daycare. I support the city collaborating with sliding scale daycares to provide them with facilities. All city facilities should be evaluated for their potential to provide space. Also, for all new city facilities, daycare should be provided in the facility. Interesting. Well, it sounds like he's in favor of making it easier for people to start daycare businesses and incentivizing it via how we design our infrastructure. Not too bad. Number 8, if you're elected, what will your approach to open space preservation and creation of new parks and trails? How would you prioritize this value in relation to other city priorities, particularly when the city is facing budget constraints? Jerry says, I value open space, natural areas, and trails. For 40 years, I have been a local leader to expand the amount and access to these amenities. In 1993, I was one of the 4 citizen leaders who wrote and led the effort to gather signatures that placed a quarter-cent tax measure on the ballot to acquire natural areas and build trails. I worked each ballot measure for the city and county. They all passed. The quarter-cent sales tax funds natural area acquisition and the building of trails, as well as their operation and maintenance. Trails and open space are also funded through the city's allocation of lottery funds. I support continuing to obtain open space and natural areas and build more miles of trail. He says parks funding for new community parks and refurnishing community and neighborhood parks depends on capital improvement expansion fees, general fund, and multi-year capital improvement sales tax. I support the next capital improvement program to include funding for those needs. Now, I'm going to tell you guys about my personal opinion on open space preservation and creation of new parks and trails in Fort Collins. Again, my number one issue in Fort Collins is how expensive it is. In between Fort Collins and LeMay, off Trilby, we have miles and miles and miles and miles of just nothing but like prairie dogs and like the occasional hawk that eats these disease-ridden prairie dogs. Yes, there is a train there, right? But I would say that the cost of housing is a far bigger deal in Fort Collins than having more open spaces and trails, especially when you consider, like, on the west side of Fort Collins, it gets about as open and wild as we could ever hope to ever want, right? We have some of the largest mountains in the United States, literally just to the west of Fort Collins. So I really don't think that we should over the head with how we preserve and build more open spaces in Fort Collins. We should be beating ourselves over the head with how do we build more apartment dwellings and more housing, and how do we do it right now? That's my opinion. Question number 9 on the questionnaire. My goodness, time flies, doesn't it? I'll get to question number 9 after the break. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I sure do love you. It's a wonderful morning. God bless you. Right here in beautiful northern Colorado. I'll see you after the break.
Have you always wanted to be on the radio? Do you have strong opinions or ideas that you think should be heard? Why not host your own radio show right here on the Roar of the Rockies? You'll be on the same station as Brian Kilmeade, Michael Savage, and Alex Jones. You can brand yourself as an expert in your industry and grow your business. Imagine telling your potential clients you have your own radio show. That gives you instant credibility. For more information, call us at 970-587-5003.
Reasons to Own Gold. Brought to you by the Patriot Trading Group at allamericangold.com. Reason number 647.
Most people don't even know that the courts have already ruled. Once money is deposited into the bank owns the money, and the depositor is merely an unsecured creditor of the bank, which means if the bank goes under, you get paid last. After the financial crisis, instead of breaking up too big to fail, the government and the Federal Reserve created Dodd-Frank and made too big to fail banks even bigger, while putting your deposits more at risk. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. To learn more, visit us at allamericangold.com or call us at 800-951-0592.
Did the insurance company divorce your mountain house? Then call Affordable Tree Service North at 970-568-6898. We have over 50 years combined experience in fire mitigation. Let us climb, cut, trim, haul your worries away. We know brokers who specialize in mountain property, and we don't hire no snowflakes. Oh, God. Hey, you're not in this commercial. Again, call Affordable Tree Service at 970-568-6898. That's 568-6898.
So, question number 9 on this questionnaire. We only have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to try to sum this up. The future of Hughes Stadium site has been a subject of contention for the last few years. Where do you stand on the city's involvement in so far in rezoning that property and the ballot measure that would direct the city to rezone the property as 100% open lands and attempt to acquire it from CSU? Jerry says the ballot measure will likely pass. CSU rebuffed the city's offer to purchase the property and is proceeding with a revised plan and will submit it after the April 6th elections. CSU plans to invoke the Site Planning Advisory Review. The process invokes CSU's status as a public state entity and demotes the city's involvement from decision maker to advisor. The Planning and Zoning Board will provide, quote, advisory review and hold a public hearing and make recommendations to the Board of Governors, which approves the plan with or without the recommendations. Paths says the SPAR process is not appropriate for a housing development that will be sold to private interests. I support the city joining a suit to protect home rule rights. I will do everything possible to protect open space designation. I will contact President Joyce McConnell, Chancellor Tony Frank, and Paths and request a meeting. The outcome is uncertain. Certainty will only be obtained when either the city owns the land or it is developed. Guys, again, housing. My goodness. That is the number one issue facing the city of Fort Collins, is how expensive it is. I am moving out. I know a bunch of people who are moving out. Why are they all moving out? Because it is so expensive to live here, because people are moving here way faster than we are building houses. Are you kidding me? Hughes Stadium lot, should we turn that into open space? Like what? Like there's a couple squirrels there, but there's maybe a rabbit there. It's a giant parking lot. It's got big concrete slabs in it. It would cost like $2 million just to break up the concrete and get it out of there so that things could even grow there, right? There's hardly a tree within a mile of that place. It's not like the wild elk are migrating through the Hughes Stadium lot. Not only that, but like I said, just to the west of it is literally the Rocky Mountain Range and the Great Divide. It doesn't get any more wild and open than that. When we're paying almost $2,000 to live in a tiny apartment in this city, why are we even having a conversation? Why are we even going down this idea of possibly turning that into open space? So what? The prairie dogs can crap and spread disease there? We should build housing. We should build housing fast. We should build housing now. As much of it as we possibly can. We got to get caught up. We got to start making it affordable to live in our city. What are we doing? My goodness, guys. Rezone Hughes Stadium parking lot to open area. You can literally go 1 mile up the hill and it's like Horsetooth Reservoir. I don't even think it's a mile. I think it's less than a mile. I think it's a quarter mile from Hughes Stadium is Horsetooth Reservoir, and then it's like 60 miles of mountains. Hey guys, I love you. I'm having a great day. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. This has been the Bucky Dillon Show.
When dealing with a worldwide pandemic, remember to avoid, distance, and alienate yourself from friends, family, and neighbors. That way, when the crisis is over, no one will ask you to help them move, to borrow money, or bother you for a cup of sugar ever again. After all, who needs community anyway? This has been a public service announcement. Have a lovely day.
Do you ever wake up and feel like there should be someone to run your errands? We want to get things done, but just don't have enough time. Many of us hire concierge services like dog walkers or food and grocery delivery. Why should your insurance needs be any different? At Badger Insurance Advisors, we act as your concierge for all things insurance, pairing quotes and prices, and recommending the best insurance for your needs. Call or text us today at 303-359-1799. Or check us out at badgerinsuranceadvisors.com.